What is up, guys? Alex here from Our Geeky Podcast, coming at you with an In Focus video, this time talking about Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference 2018. Yes, so welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do a video this week talking about all the big stuff from Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference 2018, WWDC for short. Because for those who don't know me, without trying to be, I kind of fell into the trap of being an Apple fanboy. I guess I managed to stumble upon having an iPhone, iPad, AirPods, Apple Watch, MacBook, iMac, 2 Apple TVs. I have an iPod Classic floating somewhere. So pretty much everything that Apple announced some way affects me, mainly because I use the iPhone, but also because I use pretty much everything else. The big things that they announced at WWDC, there was no hardware announcements, which is usually the case. They kind of sometimes sneak something in, but for the most part, it's just software, because it's for the developers of their apps. So the big things were into the 4 pillars for their 4 major devices now: macOS, iOS, tvOS, watchOS. Start with the smallest one, which was the tvOS. There wasn't much for that one. Apple TV 4K now supports Dolby Atmos surround sound, which is really cool if you've got one and the right speaker system. The other announcements they had were really for cable providers in the US, so it doesn't really affect us down here or for the rest of the world too much. But for those people that have more cable stuff on their Apple TV in the US, good for you. watchOS had some really cool bits and pieces. One of the big ones being walkie-talkie mode, which is kind of something they apparently announced ages ago with the Apple Watch, but now it's finally here. Which is basically, if any of your friends have an Apple Watch, you can kind of tap on the watch, record like a quick message that shoots to them like a walkie-talkie, and you can talk back and forth on the watch, basically fulfilling its stance as being like the communicator from Power Rangers, which is how I always want it to be, so I can be like really cool talking into my Apple Watch, being like, yes, Zordon, I'm such a dork, and I make no apologies for that. A geek, as it were, keeping this stuff on brand. That was one of the cool ones for watchOS. Also, the automatic workout detection, so if you start a workout, because sometimes you can be doing that, and you'll be like, damn it, I forgot to start it on the watch. The watch will now ping you being like, hey, pretty sure you're running or working out or something like that, so we're going to start this for you so you don't miss out on any of your progress, which is really, really cool. There is also things like the Siri shortcuts, which I'll touch on a little bit when I talk about iOS, which are coming to the watch as well. Mac OS got a couple of big things in the form of dark mode, which kind of changes the whole complexion of your screen, which is great for when you're working at night. You don't want the bright lights on. It'll also change your wallpaper as well, which is pretty cool. If you do have a fairly cluttered desktop, it will basically sort everything by file size or what have you into these neat little stacks, which you can then scroll through, which is pretty handy for those who have a desktop on a Mac. I don't. I've got a couple of things of the files that I'm working on, and then as soon as I'm done with those, I pretty much clear them off my desktop because I like it just being super, super clean. I freak out about that. I'm not a clean freak in much places, but my desktop is definitely one of them. Also with Mac, there are another couple of cool little things like the new gallery view in Finder to kind of see stuff without having to go into preview. Also, you can do quick markups straight from Finder, which is really cool as well. They announced with things like documents, where you can basically hit spacebar, sign off on documents, or circle stuff that you want to highlight straight from Finder. They've adjusted the screen shots, which are getting kind of a makeover, as well as being able to screen record straight from the screenshot menu rather than having to go through QuickTime or any other stuff, which is really handy, as well as things like news, stocks, and voice memos coming to Mac OS, which kind of seem like direct ports from the iOS versions. And now on to the big one, the one that most people are most interested in at WWDC, iOS 12 updates. A couple of the big ones that they talked about were things like Siri shortcuts, which I touched on earlier, which are basically you can set a key phrase for Siri being like, hey, I lost my keys. And if you have something like the tile to track your keys, it'll automatically start pinging that. You can also set a scene effectively. So you can say, hey Siri, I'm heading home. It'll chuck on the navigation. It'll start playing your driving playlist as Siri starts bothering me now, because of course she does, and kind of step by step, like flow through a bunch of different things. If you've got like smart bulbs at home, it can like turn those on and set your thermostat if you got one of those. There was also a really big focus on augmented reality, with a couple of the things they announced. A new file type for AR stuff called USDZ or Z for depending on where you are in the world, which is really cool. They had a couple of like multi-person augmented reality setups during the keynote, which was really, really cool. So kind of like a slingshot block game they were demoing, with multiple people interacting with the same augmented reality object, which sounds awesome. Like, that's the one cool thing about AR, that if multiple people can have that same setup, that opens up so many really cool avenues that I'm not creative enough to walk down, but if somebody else does it, I'll happily use it. I remember the first time I saw AR, and it was like, I think it was on one of the Sony smartphones, where they had like a T-Rex that was like standing. You could set it up so the T-Rex was there. I lost my mind at that because dinosaurs, but the fact that it's progressing so fast, the augmented reality, is really, really cool to see. There were also a couple of cool little changes in regards to notifications. So they have Do Not Disturb for bedtime now, so that when you go to bed, you can chuck on this mode and you won't be bombarded with a bunch of notifications, rather than the normal Do Not Disturb mode where you just don't get notifications. You'll still get the notifications, but they'll just be like hidden, and you'll just have like a dark screen so you can go to sleep, which I know I'm guilty of, being like, what's that notification? I need to check it. I'm desperate for it. Also, in regards to notifications, we get grouped notifications. Finally, as something pops up, I get a notification on my Mac OS now, which is really well timed. Group notifications on iOS, which is awesome. So they'll group by app, and they also mention by like topic and thread, which is super handy. This has been something that I think Android users have had for ages, which, yeah, cool. It's another thing for them to talk about. Oh, we had it first. But the fact that it's coming to iOS is long overdue and very, very welcome. Another really cool thing was the screen time feature that Apple is bringing in now. So it's kind of showing you, it's going to give you a report of how much time you are spending on each app and what kind of apps you're going to first, what ones you're using most, and also letting you set a limit on how much you use them. So you can set, say, Instagram or YouTube for like an hour each, and when you're getting close to that, it'll let you've got like 5 minutes left, so make the most of it. I think that's really, really cool. People are on their phones all the time. I think also for parents, it's going to be super handy. So you can be like, well, you know, little Timmy, you can only use YouTube for half an hour each day, and then set that on their things. I believe it will work with like family sharing for the Apple accounts, which, as I said, for a parent, it's super, super handy in that sense. Another really fun one was the updates to Animoji and the new Memoji. So Animoji we've had for the iPhone 10 or X, if you want to say it incorrectly, since it launched. It's a really fun one. If you've got it, I don't know if you saw the unboxing we did of the iPhone 10, where I was blown away by how adorable and fun it was. But now we've got tongue detection, as well as in iOS 12. There are 4 new Animojis: Ghost, Koala, Tiger, and the one that I'm going to be exclusively communicating via, T-Rex Animoji, because dinosaurs. As I said, dinosaurs are great. Also, there's Memoji, which is kind of, if you see people on Snapchat using the like Bitmoji thing, it's kind of like a new like AR version of that, or like Snapchat filters, kind of. So you can create your Animoji, which is, your Memoji, which is your Animoji version of you, or the real you, as they put it in the keynote, which seems pretty in-depth in terms of the creation suite, for lack of a better term. Kind of like going back to I've heard people describe it like the Me days from the Nintendo Wii, which, big ups to the Wii for that. Seems really cool and fun, and that's, you know, these devices are supposed to be fun. They're super handy and we use them for everything, but it's good to have fun with them every now and again, which the Memoji certainly seems like it's going to do. It's kind of like the AR emoji for Samsung, but from the looks of it, it's significantly better than that. So those were some of the big things out of Apple's WWDC 2018, at least for me anyway. I kind of tried to tick off all the big ones. What were your favorites? What are you most looking forward to in the new TV, iMac, and Watch OSs, in the OS space? And what are you looking forward to from Apple in general? Or if you aren't an Apple user, what interested you the most? Maybe what made you want to switch over? Or if you're an Android user and you want to be like, Android had all of these first, then cool, go for it in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe while you are down there and hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get updates when I upload one of these videos, which, as I said last week, trying to make a regular thing. Leave us a comment while you're down there. Say good day. Give the video a big old thumbs up because that does help me out. Make sure to follow on Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. The page will be at Our Geeky Podcast. My stuff will be at Alex Hackerspinch if you want to follow me personally. And yeah, that kind of will do it for this week. If you like these sort of videos, let me know. If you don't, let me know as well. Okay, thank you very much. Peace out, everybody.